Erin's a long-term friend. We met at one of the OC Linked events, both spoke on stage together, and that was a lot of fun. She's the Amazon best-selling author of Digital Persuasion, Sell Smarter in the Modern Marketplace. And she's also an international keynote speaker. She sold her first two companies, PMS.com and Jump Digital Media, before the age of 30. Her social media campaigns have been featured in Forbes and other top on and offline platforms. You heard us mention the Oscars. I'll ask Erin a little bit about that. She's a 2018 Orange County Business Journal Woman in Business finalist and a digital marketing advisor for Camp One Ventures. She has been playing around on social media since about 2004, just down the street in Laguna Beach. Erin, it's good to see you, and thanks for joining us on Legal Minds.
Absolutely, Mitch. Well, thanks for having me, and I look forward to meeting your tribe and your community, and hopefully we can have some dialogue today to help everyone elevate how they're thinking about their social and digital efforts.
Ooh, I love that. Now, I put Erin on the spot, you guys. I asked her, I told her a little bit about the group, told her a little bit about where we are and what we've been doing the last couple of years. And I said, hey, I want some specific tips, if you can, to help professionals, lawyers and other professionals build our brands on social media, right? So I kind of put her on the spot. How can we better use social media? What type of content works? What do we need to work on to separate ourselves from everybody else in town?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've worked with all different types of industries. I've worked with, Visa in the financial space. I've worked with Siemens and Abbott and Johnson & Johnson and Hitachi in the healthcare space. Camp One Ventures is, fintech VC up in Palo Alto, you name it. I mean, I've worked with Beach Bunny Swimwear. I mean, all over the map. The United States Navy hired us. So I have experience in all these different industries. And here's what I have learned. What I have learned is that no matter what industry you're in, there is something about what you do that is different, that is quirky, and that is interesting. And unfortunately, because we all feel this need to conform or to behave the way we think we should act on social media or how everyone else is using social media, we completely miss this awesome opportunity to really digitally differentiate ourselves. And so what you just brought up, Mitch, is an interesting point, which is that Hollywood and lawyers have a lot in common. Think about the courtroom dramas. Think about your Law and Order. Think about all this great content. People are fascinated with what you do. And just because it's a normal Tuesday for everyone here on this call today, I would be fascinated to hear, tell me about your clients. Tell me how you prepare for it. When you get nervous to go up there, what's your routine? How do you get psyched up? Can you talk about everything? Do you Google? Do you go to a library? I want to know everything because I'm not in your space. And so I think what it comes down to with content is uncovering those gems that maybe to you seem every day, but to your audience will persuade them to stop their scroll, lean forward and say, tell me more. Because social media is not this broadcast channel. It is essentially putting a microphone and a spotlight around who you are, the person that your clients hire because they met you and you vibed and they liked it. So if they liked it, more of them will like it. So what I want to just encourage everyone listening to this to think about is the fact that this whole way of social and mobile is only about 13.5 years old of living our lives behind phones. And that's like freshmen in high school old. If any of you have freshmen in high school or remember being a freshman in high school, yes, Alicia's nodding her head. Awkward, looking to everyone else to know what to do, faking it till you make it. And that's where we are when it comes to social. We're looking to everyone else and just imitating what people are doing. And that's not always the best way to roll. So if you feel awkward, number one, that's why. And number two, it's a time of discovery. It's time to figure out who you are so you can lean in harder to who that is. I mean, just because you're lawyers and you have this idea of professionalism, Mitch has busted open the mold of what that means. He has said, you were one of the first movers in the space where there really was not a lot of legal precedence around social media law. And now look where it's happening. It's evolving so quickly. And so there's a real opportunity because no one knows exactly how it's all going to shake out. So it's a great time to test and learn and be fearless to lean into who you really are.
I love the fact that you said we're basically freshmen in high school. And if all of you relate back to your freshman year, by the time you became a senior, Was it anything like you thought it would be? The people that you're looking to your left and right as a freshman, were you still looking left and right at them as seniors? In other words, we're all new at this. We're all starting something new. And we talked last week, Erin, with an expert on improv and sharing different improv techniques that we can use on social media. But we talked about being relevant, being interesting, being entertaining, being timely and adding value, not wasting time with our audience. Do you have any tips with, once we've given ourselves permission to be outgoing, to show our human side, to add value, any tips with doing that on social media?
Well, I want to talk about the attention spec for a second.
Sure.
And the fact that, you listen to podcasts, you read books, you go to the conferences, and all everyone talks about is our short attention spans. To use an improv technique, yes. And we will also spend hours watching cat videos, and
high five.
We will binge watch on Netflix, and we will do all these things. So is it that our attention specs are so short, or do we just have lower tolerance for crappy content? You be the judge. So as far as tips on how to elevate, how to make your content more engaging and persuasive and influential, I have a little method that I teach in my book, and I call it the PUB method, PUB, and it stands for personal, useful, and brief. Okay. I use this method all the time because the reality is we do not type like we talk. The you that shows up in the courtroom or in that client meeting or on a Facebook Live, this you is not the same you in that email, in that brief, in that text message. It's your online you and your offline you are very different. We're 34 times more persuasive face-to-face in person than we are behind screens, yet we know we got to win on digital to ignite that dialogue. So that's why we're in this catch-22 of evolving in this world, right? So when you think about that, this PUB method is what I use. It's a little just check. I just run through it super fast. Whether it's an email, a text message, I ask myself, am I opening with something personal to my recipient so they can see themselves in the story, or so it's about them? Because everyone opens messages with, I just wanted to say, hi, I'm reaching out. I is the least persuasive word in the English language. We got to be careful of our I to you ratio. So you open something personal about them, then you offer something truly useful that's really lifting them up. If it's social media, don't be more of the same old shouty noise. Offer something that makes them either surprised or entertained or fascinated or curious, or a DIY or a helpful tip, something that's useful to them, behind the scenes even. And then the last step is to keep it really brief. If you need it, deliver it. But if you don't, cut it. We tend to repeat ourselves, go on and on, the great wall of text, the multi-scrollers, all the things, right? Yeah. So one quick shift you can make right now in your next email or your text or your next social media post is to make sure that your audience can see themselves in what you're sharing. So let's say, for example, that you won an award. Like I know, Mitch, you win tons of awards. You were like California Lawyer of the Year. So, but the thing is, you're such a humble, down-to-earth guy that sometimes it can feel a little uncomfortable. You want to share with everyone, but you don't want to be like, I'm Mitch Jackson. I won another award. I'm the best, right? So how do you share your accolades without, but also making it personal to your audience? Because I care, because I know you and I like your family. But if I didn't know you, how do you get out beyond that existing sphere of influence? How do you get people to care who don't know Mitch Jackson and your great family? So a little shift you can do to make it more personal is you can say, imagine that you, or so there you are, or have you ever, you start with it, have you ever been working towards something and it felt like an uphill climb, but then suddenly it was all worth it? Imagine that you've been working in a space and you've been pushing the envelope in a way that wasn't really acceptable, but then suddenly everyone started to realize there was more than one way to do things. Have you ever felt, so there you are, paint the scenario. So someone says to themselves, oh yeah, that's what happened to me, which is why this award means so much. So someone can see themselves in the journey with you. They're more invested. So making it more personal, because persuasion is personal. So personal, useful, brief is my little checklist. Useful can be so many different things. It can be stories. It can be, oftentimes we can tell great stories, or we don't always have to be the storyteller. Sometimes you can be a story seeker. You can find someone that can tell your story better than you can. What are those great, who is your number one client that refers you business? Why? What is it about you? Why they're always telling their friends? What was that moment? I mean, what you do is very emotional. I mean, people look to you in the toughest times of their lives, and you better believe they have a story of how you changed their life and saved them, were there for them. So that's a very useful thing to hear. And then keeping it brief. Obviously, I'm a keynote speaker. My husband's always like, land the plane, right? I'm a writer and I'm a speaker, so it's hard for me to be brief. Plus, I'm Irish, so my stories are really long. You're lawyers. You have all the time that we're all talkers, right? So it's very hard for us to land the plane. However, it is really important to make sure that what we're sharing is absolutely critical to moving the story forward and not just filling up pages of a brief or minutes on a Facebook Live, right? So.
I love that. Respect the time and attention of your audience.
Yeah.
Tell stories. And if you're not comfortable with telling a story about yourself, tell a story about somebody else, maybe a client, maybe a situation, maybe a community service event, or the story of a brand, a product, or a service, or all different types of stories that you can tell. None of us are born being great communicators, Aaron, but for us to implement some of the things that you're talking about, to jump in and grab attention and tell a quick story, what platforms do you think lawyers and other professionals should focus on, based just upon, generally speaking, what you're looking at, what you've seen, what you've observed? And do you have any tips with how we can use those particular platforms to elevate our online game?
Well, fish where the fish are. Obviously, find where your people are. That's a lot easier. But also, it has to be a platform that maybe you're already spending time on yourself. This isn't necessarily the advice that a lot of marketing specialists will give. They'll say, find where your audience is, pick your 2 or 3 platforms, and double down on being consistent with those. And that is great advice. And if you look at social media management in terms of crawl, walk, run, that's kind of a walk to a run, depending on where you are right now with your business. I'm a crawler. I like to start very small. I like to set very small goals. I want to lose 2 pounds, not 10. I like little achievable go you moments. And so if you are in the crawl phase when it comes to how you're leveraging digital to grow your practice, to polish your social footprint, I would say start by asking yourself, what is the one platform that maybe you find yourself spending time on at line at Starbucks, or downtime between cases? Do you take a scroll through Facebook? Are you an Instagrammer? Are you a YouTuber? What's a platform that you're already kind of using? For me, that's Instagram. And so what I found was that my following exploded when I just focused on one platform, mine's Instagram, that I enjoyed being on already. And it got to the point where actually now this is just how I've done it. This is not for everyone. But what I've done is I redirect on all my other profiles. I say, come over and find me on Instagram because that's where I am. So now I just have the one platform. Again, if you have time to do 3 or 4, great. But I don't. I'm doing a great job going deep and narrow on my one platform. And the minute that I've done that, I have seen my engagement explode, the volume of conversations, the return on my investment. And by the way, I also don't want to live my entire life behind my phone. I'm trying to run a social media business using social media, but also I want to live my life and not have 5 hours of screen time a day. So I only spend 2 hours a day on my phone, and then my alarm goes off and that's it. So when I'm in there, I'm not telling myself I'm working, but just scrolling down the black hole of God knows what, right? I am uploading my stories. I am high-fiving my people. The biggest tip I can offer for no matter what platform that is for you is this. I spend twice as much time on other people's platforms than my own. I spend twice as much time, I call it conscious custom commenting. Conscious custom commenting. And what that means is that I identify my 10 to 15 targets. For me, that's meeting planners that hire keynote speakers for large events. And I am high-fiving them, not in a generic spammy 100 emoji, fire emoji, bot kind of way, but in a really thoughtful relationship building way. I comment on what they are already sharing, and I ask questions and follow-ups, recommendations, and doing this consistently once a week per person, not crazy, not creepy, but just touching base. I've started to cultivate these incredible relationships. And then when you see them at a conference or you see them somewhere else, all of a sudden it goes from, my friend Brian Fanzin always says, it goes from a handshake to a hug. And it's so true. You're able to expedite that sales cycle and that relationship cycle. And even if they don't need what you're offering, when someone that they encounter does, you better believe you're top of mind, because reciprocity is a powerful, powerful motivator. So spending time on other people's platforms is where I would say is a great place to just one platform that you like, high five everyone else, keep a presence that's genuine, tell the stories, and it's a great place to start. It's doable, and less than 2 hours a day, you're able to build an entire business if you want to.
Tell me, what are your thoughts on including calls to action in our social media posts, pros, cons? If you were a lawyer, a professional, how would you go about handling that issue?
Yeah, I don't know about you all. And again, my advice is this works for me and my clients. This is not the classic advice. So do you if this is not your cup of tea. My take, I don't like being told what to do. Whenever I see a call to action, I want to do the opposite. Maybe that's just me. So I believe that if you are telling great stories and you are showcasing, not just saying you can trust us, we are trustworthy, but showing it through your content, showing it through those stories, kind of walking the walk, less talking the talk, because there is a little bit of a stigma that you do have to unfortunately battle against because of other people in your industry. I believe that people know what to do. I believe that people know where to click and how to find. Sure. And I believe that I used to, my first job ever, I sold television advertising in Baltimore City, and all of my clients were direct response lawyers, daytime TV ad lawyers. And so it was all the call now, call in 15 minutes, call. And so I think back then, that was 2004, prior to social and mobile, people were leaning back and they were saying, tell me what I need to know, educate me. What do I call? What do I do? But now we're leaning forward. We're choosing our own adventure, guiding our own way through. And so we're used to kind of doing things on our terms. And so I believe when you show up and you kind of demonstrate what they can expect to engage with you and you stay consistently in front of them, I believe when they have a need, they're going to know what to do. So I tend to keep the calls to action only specific to if it's something that's not intuitive. So if you want them to go to your website, they know how to Google you, right? But if it's something like, I want you to join my email list or invite you to this event, if it's something kind of not intuitive, then yes, be clear on what you'd like them to do.
So let's be clear though, Erin, I have a feeling you've evolved from your television direct marketing days to the mindset that you have now on social media. In other words, at one point in time, back in the day, everything you do offline and direct marketing should have a call to action. I remember experts, that's all they preached about from the stage back in the day. It always made me feel uncomfortable. And then when social media came around, I eventually got to the point where I feel exactly like you do. Okay. And I know for a fact it's an evolution. In other words, my early social media content did include calls to action and did include long, boring videos and did include doing everything the wrong way. Fast forward to today, I've evolved. I've gone 360 to where I am today, and I know you have too. And Eric, when I look at your comments, you're not alone, buddy. Okay. In other words, it's a learning process. And all I would encourage is those of you that are putting out call to action, direct marketing type of social media content, which I don't think is the way to go. It's okay. Push it aside and just keep moving forward. Right, Erin? Because this is not the mindset you had 10 years ago.
No. And to Mitch's point, if you are a call, everyone sells differently because we are all selling who we are and what we're about. And some people are straight shooters. If that's your personality and someone comes into your office and you're like, here's what we're about. Do you want to start Monday? Then they know they're getting a straight shooter in the office. They're getting a straight shooter in the courtroom. You're being consistent all the way through. If that's the way you roll, then call to action. That gives me a weird feeling. That's not my jam. So however you roll in real life, the idea is to close that gap between online you and offline you so that you're consistent, so that when they see your content on social media and then they meet you in person, there's not this huge gap like, well, what happened to the person I saw on social media? So I think, again, it's about kind of quieting and getting in touch with, how do you feel most comfortable? Because if you have that icky feeling, that's a digital conscience that is online, offline all the time, right? So honor it and give yourself permission to do it your way. Because to Mitch's point, there's no right way to do this. There's your way, your way. That's the only way there is to do this.
We're all freshmen trying to figure it out.
That's right.
As long as we're ourselves and strategically transparent, I think nothing but good things can happen.
I use a method that one of my girlfriends created. Her name is Tamsin Webster, and she created a method called the red thread. And essentially, it's just 5 steps. You outline the problem, you outline the goal, you outline the truth, the change, and the action. That's like her 5-step system. And I use that to keep me on track whenever I'm doing a Facebook Live or a video. I just quickly on a little piece of paper, I just write down the answer to those 5 quick questions. And I walk myself through so that my video is about one thing. So there's one digestible nugget. And that title for that video actually is what's in that video. Oftentimes we have these grand promises, and how many times have you seen a title of something and then you click in and you're like, are we ever going to get to that? Are they even talking about that? Right. So I use it to kind of keep myself in check, and I follow my little thing. Instagram TV I use a lot, and that is a 10-minute limit. So, I mean, I think anywhere from like a 5 to 10 minutes is kind of a sweet spot for one big idea to actually land versus all the things, right? And also you have so much great stuff that you want to make sure you're pacing yourself, because contenting is exhausting. And so you could have one phenomenal nugget once a week, and that could last you a whole quarter versus trying to change the world in a 30-minute clip and give them everything at once.
It's just another quick tip. I love that red thread 5 steps. That's gold right there. I have 5 steps, Travis. It really helps. And I've talked about it in Legal Minds before. State the problem or the issue. That's number 1. Number 2, agitate the problem or the issue using emotional stories, using the methods we've talked about. Number 3, offer a clear and concise solution. Mm-hmm. Number 4, show how that solution works with your immediate audience, whether it's a jury of 12 or 20 people in the audience. And number 5, some type of either call to action, or if you're on social media, that invite back to your podcast, that invite back to your weekly live stream so they can get more good information they can share with their family and friends. Those 5 steps, or the red thread 5 steps that Erin just talked about, imagine changing that up every other week, okay, or combining the 2.
It is. And I love what you said. I love the idea of an invitation versus a call to action. It's so much more approachable, and, screens can really scramble our humanity. And when your lawyer's trying to telegraph that you are caring, living, breathing human beings, to invite someone feels so warm. It feels so almost like church or community versus salesy and advertising. So I love that.
Yeah. I think as a lawyer, it's very important, because that's what maybe differentiates us from everybody else on the lawyers that get what we're doing here in Legal Minds. So talk to us a little bit about, all of us have hangups. All of us have insecurities. Talk to us a little bit about pushing those aside, or maybe some training techniques or some approaches we can use to move forward and not let those self-imposed limitations hold us back, if you don't mind.
Yes. Well, particularly as lawyers, I have a couple of girlfriends that are lawyers, and they are my most type A friends. And I'm sure no one on this call possesses any of those characteristics at all. No perfectionist tendencies at all, I'm sure. But, and I always just feel like I'm a slacker around them, because they've always done twice as much as everyone else by noon. But that's what makes you all successful at what you do. And that can carry over into what you've termed to be self-imposing restrictions, self-imposing limitations. I think that being on camera, I mean, Travis, it sounds like you're just doing a lot of test and learn. You're getting out there. You're just going for it. And that's really just like life. There's no shortcut. You just got to dive in the pool and start swimming and see what happens. And so kudos to you for rolling up your sleeves and playing in that space. One thing that I have done in the last probably 2 years that changed my game when it came to social media. Being a woman, we're very judgy about ourselves. How's the hair? How's the makeup? And all the things, right? And so what I began to do was, number 1, I gave myself permission to show up online just as I would if I was offline. And maybe that means I'm in gym clothes. Maybe that means I have a baseball hat on. And that also means that I'm not using the excuse of not being perfectly put together as an excuse to not content for that day. It's like going to the gym, just knock it out. I try to go live every single day, no matter what, no excuses. Now, it doesn't always happen, but you shoot for the moon, land among the stars, right? Now, the other thing that I've done, which really has helped me, is to help me feel more confident on camera and not be thinking, how do I look? What's everyone saying? All the things. I pretend that I am talking to my very best friend. Her name is Sheena Schreck. She lives down the street here from me in Laguna. I just pretend like I'm talking to Sheena. Because what that does, when you picture, maybe it's your partner or your child or your spouse, your mom, your dad, whoever your person is, where you feel the most you feel the least amount judged, you feel the most confident, your filter is down, you just feel good. Who is that person for you? That when you leave them after you've spoken with them, you always feel lighter. You feel more energetic. You never feel that drained feeling. You always feel like you could have talked for hours. Whoever that person is, that is the person you pretend that you're talking to when you see that little green light on your laptop or whichever platform you're on. What this also does is it tears down that I'm a professional. Am I speaking like a lawyer? Whatever a lawyer speaks like, am I speaking like an influencer? Whatever that is, right? These perceptions that we have of this character we're supposed to play. And the reality is people can feel through the screen, particularly on video, if you are trying to be something that you're not. And isn't that the whole point of using video, is to humanize and double down on who you are to attract your clients. And the reality is, the third thing is that the people that do not get you or leave rude comments because people are jerks online or thumbs down your YouTube video, they aren't your people anyway. And people are really bored on the internet and they are really mean. So F them. You got to do you, and your tribe will find you. But you have to be you to find your tribe. And that tribe, they're going to love you online, offline, and all the time. And they're going to refer more of their friends. And that is how you're going to use social, not just to talk to your friends on Zoom, but to really grow your business to the next level, because it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort. So you want to be enjoying yourself and working smarter, not harder.
Do what you believe in. The FU approach to finally having that right mindset. I'm guessing you probably didn't have that in 2013. Okay, I'm guessing once again, this is something, because I know for myself over the last couple of years that I've finally gotten to that point where I don't really care. In other words, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. This is what's important to me. This is how I'm going to go about doing something. And you're right. As soon as I gave myself permission, Erin, to be that way and do that, everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything became less stressful.
Yeah.
I started relating to more clients that had more in common with me than somebody who I really didn't even like.
Yeah.
For some reason, I find myself representing. That's what you just said, so important. And that's what will connect clients and potential clients and referral sources with you too, is when we share our human side. There's intent with me sharing videos from the beach, you guys, right? I want to connect with other people that like paddleboarding and surfing and working out. I honestly think people that aren't embracing digital and social right now, I really do feel like they're missing out on an awesome opportunity.
I agree. And it's interesting because I think sometimes, again, being the overachievers that are on this call, myself included, we're always trying to push the envelope and raise the bar and get to the next level and, all the colloquialisms. And to Mitch's point, we can try things on such a small scale and see what happens. The test and learn at like just trying small little things. I mean, even practicing your authenticity muscle in the little mini moments of the day. I mean,
what do you mean by that? Tell us what you mean by that.
So when you're talking about showing up as who you really are online, which can be scary, whether it's as far as like how we feel confident enough with our appearance or, all these different things that we've talked about, when we're practicing being authentic in small mini moments, a comment, one video, one post, just getting used to just trying something on such a small scale without judging it. I mean, you don't even have to rewatch it if you don't want. Like, I don't like rewatching my videos because I think to myself, oh, I should have said that, or I crucify myself. I'm like, that was so dumb. Why are you saying like? You sound like a valley girl. Where does this up talk come from? That's someone else's quote. You got to attribute that. You start just running yourself through the coals. So sometimes if you just go for it, put it out there, and maybe you don't even watch it. Maybe you don't obsess over it. You just do it and you move on. These little everyday practices, like getting in shape, will prepare you for the big authenticity opportunities, the big showing up moments, like a live, like a show. But we got to kind of crawl, walk, and run. Otherwise, it can be really hard to go from a walk to a sprint. It can feel really uncomfortable. So it's just like, can we increase the number of times online we're showing up as ourselves a little bit each day? Can we have more real moments than not real moments? Can we just increase that percentage a little bit? And doing that eventually over time, you'll turn on one day and be like, well, gosh, how did I get here? I'm very comfortable and this is working and this feels right. And I'm building my tribe and building my business. And I'm really glad I invested in this medium. So that's my hope for everyone here on this call.
I'll tell you something. One of the easiest ways to keep moving forward is stop looking back. Stop worrying about and being so critical about the video you just shot or the interview you just did. Erin, I do the same thing. I rarely ever listen or watch to anything that happened 5 minutes ago, much less 5 days ago. I don't have the time. Yeah. And I want to keep creating a lot of new, interesting, pithy, entertaining content and just keep moving forward. Point is, none of us are putting out enough good, valuable, entertaining, useful, meaningful, unique content. So hopefully with some of the stuff that Erin was kind enough to share with us today, I'm going to be going back and I will be watching this recorded show, you guys, because I think there was massive value. Erin, if our members would like to connect with you on social media, if they'd like to reach out to Socialite for consulting services, what's the best way for all of us to stay in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm an Instagrammer, as I confessed earlier. So at Erin Gargan King is my handle. And if you have any follow-up questions as you start to try the pub method, being personal, is it about them? Do they care? Being useful, is it helpful? And then keeping it brief. I'm happy to brainstorm with you, answer any tough questions or challenges that maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing in a public forum like this. I love to help everyone elevate how they're showing up online, offline, all the time. So feel free to follow me, reach out, I'll follow you back, and let's start a virtual relationship that hopefully we can grow into a real relationship.
I love that. Erin, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. On behalf of everyone in Legal Minds, thanks for being here today. Great tips, great approaches, great advice. Take care. We'll see everybody on Thursday. And between now and then, make it a masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you.